Hey guys, I'm back after not uploading for like a couple of months. A lot has happened in the meantime, like I've moved house and cities as well. So I live in Melbourne now, which is really awesome, but also not awesome because I'm stuck in the middle of lockdown. As you can imagine, that is both good for my art, but bad for like everything else. Anyway, let's just jump in today's video, which is gonna be Yu-Gi-Oh themed because I am back on that Yu-Gi-Oh, specifically Yu-Gi-Oh GX high. I was obsessed with this show when I was a teenager, talking between the ages of 12 and 14 here, when I first found Yu-Gi-Oh GX, maybe even younger. And that's all I legit drew when I was a kid, was just Yu-Gi-Oh GX stuff. So yeah, I'm just gonna be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh GX for the next 20 minutes because I fucking love that show. Like, it's possibly tied with Yu Yu Hakusho for my favorite anime of all time. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is like the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Series of all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I said what I said. Despite watching both the sub and the dub, I will be using the dub names when I talk about the characters because that has a stronger nostalgia vibe for me, and we're all about them vibes, my dudes. So today, if you couldn't tell by like the thumbnail and the line art already, I'm drawing Supreme King Jaden because as a wee little child, seeing season 3 left a massive impact on me, to the extent where I would just draw Jaden as Hal constantly, to the point where my parents had to ask if everything was okay because I had an obsession with darkness. Like, I would just constantly draw Jaden surrounded by the mirrors and just darkness and just all like fucking edgy kid shit, man. Edgy kid shit. There'll be like the broken mirrors like you saw in the anime. My younger self just didn't realize why my parents thought that was weird. I look back now, I'm like, I can see it now, but I'm still drawing the exact same shit, just like in that HD res, bruh. I appreciate Yu-Gi-Oh! GX more now as an adult than when I was a kid, because when I finished watching Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, I was still in high school, so I haven't yet experienced what it felt like to graduate from school and then realize that I'm not really prepared for the real world, I guess. Like, high school and uni are both very different things. Like, in high school, you're held accountable by your teachers, but in university, everything is like your choice. It's like your choice to do the lectures on time. It's your choice to do the fucking weekly study tasks. I can't remember what they're called. It's your choice to pay attention to the deadlines. Your professors aren't going to push that. And because of that, my first year of university went really bad. Like, my first year of uni was more of a reality check than all of my schooling days. Kindergarten to year 12 had nothing. There was no consequences to like fucking up when you were younger. Except that mental trauma of having to deal with your parents and that idea of feeling like a failure because you couldn't get past 50 on an important exam. But we're not going into that today. Or we could go into that today. I identified a lot with Jaden as a kid. Much how like Jaden's only focus was his dueling, my only focus was my artwork. That's all I ever did. When I was in class, I'd be drawing. I wouldn't do my homework until like the morning of, like on the school bus, just trying to like write something down on the paper so at least looked like I attempted. I wasn't interested in school because I generally just struggled a lot, but because I was quiet in class, the teachers didn't really think that I was a problem. As a kid, it blew my mind seeing a character like Jaden just exist. But anyway, we can all agree that season 1 and 2 were just, a lot happened. They just threw everything at the wall with these 2 seasons and just hoped something worked itself out in the end, I guess. I mean, we can thank season 1 for Tonya. I specifically blame Tonya for the fact that I am a lesbian now, is what I'm trying to say. And a furry, but we're not getting into that one. And Camula too. Like, she was only around for 2 episodes as well, but Camula was also a very fine looking woman and a vampire. I legitimately like how Yu-Gi-Oh! Designed their women. I just wish they could write their women just as well as they could design them. They often start off really strong and then just get written as a side character. But speaking of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Likes to write their women, There was honestly no chemistry between any of the male and female leads in Yu-Gi-Oh! But boy did they try. I think. I don't even know if an attempt was made. Even Jaden's relationship with most of his friends were kinda like one-sided. They felt more like followers rather than people that actually cared about Jaden. Until it got to Jessie and Jaden's relationship, which they had like the biggest bromance going on. It's admiring to the point where it's just gay subtext, like, you can't read it any other way. I'm pretty sure Jessie was the only character in GX that could see Jaden as an equal, or didn't see Jaden as someone who could protect them. Jessie could do both. He could protect and attack, and that was a lot for a Yu-Gi-Oh character to be able to do if your name wasn't Jaden. Why did Jaden get so many filler duels? At least let his cast of friends fucking do something, please? But he just did everything. Every fucking thing Jaden had to sort it out on his own. Like, why did we even need other characters in this show? I think the writing staff realized this when we got to season 3, because season 3 had the better of the side characters. Not only were their designs fantastic, but their overall personalities were just way more rememberable. Jesse, Jim, my boy, fucking love that shit. And then we got Axel and Adrian. I don't remember much of Adrian, but he was there, I guess. And he had a smoking hot GF. Echo. I remember Echo more than I remember Adrian. And of course, the better villain of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Yubel. Yubel was a character that I despised when I was younger. I just couldn't really understand them too much. But once I grew up and I could understand a lot more of what was actually going on in the show, I learned to really like them, and I still like them now. But yeah, remember how I said how like Jaden did everything in season 1 and 2 and his friends legitimately just didn't do anything? Well, that actually had some relevance because of that, they put Jaden on a pedestal. Like, they were just like, oh, Jaden can't do anything wrong because he always wins. We will follow that because he always wins. And we don't have to look after ourselves because Jaden always wins. And then season 3 happened and he did lots of things wrong. But in the end it was fine because he won all these duels. LMAO, just kidding. They turned on him. Season 3 was essentially, let's grab all those traits that make a shonen protagonist. So his carefree nature, his go-get-em attitude, his I gotta win and I gotta protect. And they turn them into selfish traits of like what happens when he's too determined on protecting a singular person. And what happens when his carefree attitude gets his friends put into danger. The too long didn't read version is Jesse gets stuck in the spirit world or the dark world or just a different dimension altogether. We're going to call it the dark world because I think the dark world is what it's actually called. Jaden goes to get Jesse back because he finds a way into the dark world, and then his friends are like, hey, no, you can't do that alone, we're gonna come. And Jaden's like, no. And they're like, yes. And so they do, and they all travel into the dark world. But Jaden's focus isn't on these friends, his only focus is on getting Jesse back, so he starts being really reckless. And in this world, when you duel, you lose your soul. Well, not really. You get sent to the stars in the English dub, which is just, you die, you explode into yellow dust, dead, gone, bye-bye. That's only when you lose a duel, so Jaden's just like... Actually, I can't remember if he tells his friends not to duel or whatnot, but none of them duel. None of them duel in this world. Only Jaden is the one that duels in this world. And blah blah blah, some shit happens, more than I'm care to get into, and his friends are captured by this guy, this evil dual beast thing called Mad King Braun. He is trying to create the super polymerization card, which needs human sacrifices. And so he decides that Jaden's friends are perfect for this card. Because of this particular duel, when Jaden attacks or Braun loses life points, his friends are sacrificed one by one. So this forces Jaden to not attack, but Braun activates a card like, nah bruh, you're gonna attack me. And so Jaden does attack, and his friends will die one by one. And the fucking painful part is they all blame him. Like, no shit, he went evil. If the last thing you heard your friends say was, "We're dead and it's your fault," like, that's pretty fucked up, Yug. Jaden in this emotional state fucking snaps. He gets mad angry to the point where it kind of unlocks the darkness in his heart, and we get to see Hal for the first time. And he is like mad. Like, he is so fucking angry that he just goes ballistic on Bron. Like, he just does not hold back. He goes crazy. So Jaden wins the duel, obviously, but now he's left alone. Some of his friends weren't captured, so that's Axel, Jim, and Cyrus managed to escape. But I don't really care much for Cyrus, so whatever. He decided to play moderator this season, so he doesn't really do much to begin with. So that's the last we see of Jaden before it's revealed that he is the Supreme King. So before it's revealed that the Supreme King and Jaden are the same person, we get shown just like how awful and cruel the Supreme King is. We see Jim and Axel walk through towns where he is just destroyed. And remember how I said when you lose a duel in this world, then you die? Well, it's also revealed that Jaden has just been killing thousands of people as Hal. And then when Jim and Axel find out that Jaden is the Supreme King, they are terrified of him. Well, mostly Axel. Axel doesn't know how to respond to just Jaden being as evil as he is. Because in their heads, Jaden was never capable of doing something this bad. And like, I love Axel and Jim a lot, so it's really refreshing to see Axel, who was introduced as this fucking badass, terrified of Jaden. Like, no doubt, like, he was a fucking soldier. His dual disc turns into a gun, like, it shoots out cards if he needs it. Like, he was, out of everyone in this group, Axel was definitely the most prepared to handle Hal, and yet he can't, and he has to get over that fear. And you know, I really like seeing strong characters vulnerable. It's not something you really get to see too often. Well, at least when I was watching Yugioh GX for the first time, it wasn't something you saw too often. And that stuck with me. Like, even now when I'm writing my own characters, I always seem to find parts or writing parts that make them extremely vulnerable under the right conditions. But anyway, this isn't a video essay on why you should watch GX. This is me spilling my love for this show and kind of giving you a visual if you haven't watched it. But I assume, like, if you watch Yugioh GX, you already know. This video is for people who have seen Yugioh GX, let's be real. But regardless, Yugioh GX has such an impact that I know exactly why this show. And I'm just talking about like one particular arc of season 3. Like, season 4 gets way more in depth with everyone's anxieties as like teenagers growing up and graduating. I shit you not, I've been talking way too much about how much I love season 3 of GX that I haven't even talked about the drawing itself. So let's do that for the last fucking 2 minutes of this video. Now, after listening to me ramble for the past 15 minutes, let's talk about this drawing of Hal and the stars kind of covering his face. Because of the English dub and how they say send them to the stars when they die, I thought that would be really good imagery, because even though it sounds dumb as fuck when you say it out loud, it does make for a nice piece of artwork. So yeah, I've just got Jaden surrounded by the stars of just like people he's killed, I guess. I don't know. There's definitely some kind of symbology there, but my monkey brain was just deciding this looks cool when I drew it, but I'm sure someone can find like a deeper meaning into it, especially the fact that I have him holding his heart. That wasn't supposed to be like that. That was something I decided during the line art stage. And of course the background is purple because when we're in the dark world, the entire world itself has just got this purple haze to it. The sky is purple, it's dark, it's depressing. Jaden himself is a bit brighter in this, but that's just the way I colour. I tend to use a lot more saturated colours when I draw. And I was playing around with different ideas on like how to make those stars pop even more and all that stuff, but I ultimately just decided to keep things how they were, and that was pretty good. The thing like I struggled a lot with when it came to like design choice was having the stars drip, because you know, if these stars were once actually people, then why not have like a bleeding heart metaphor, or just some form of bleeding star juice, whatever. I just think it looks cool. And I was on stream when I was drawing this, and a lot of other people thought it looked cool, so I kept it. The end. I wish there was more to that, but there isn't. I just added bleeding stars because it looks cool. Anyway, we're reaching the end of the video. I'm most likely going to keep drawing more Yu-Gi-Oh content. Maybe not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh as often, but they're definitely going to be the main art focus for the next couple of videos, or until I come up with a new hyperfixation, because like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh GX has been in my heart since I was 12, and it's constant.
Hello? What?